Here's the introduction to Brown Eyed Girl. I'm going to start off with the low E string, and then I'm going to use my thumb on the second fret of the E, and then I move down to the third fret of the E, the G note. So that's... And actually when I hit that third note of the G note on the low E string, I'm also going to take these two fingers, my second and third fingers, and I'm going to pluck the E, high E and B strings, and I have my first finger laying over the third fret of the high E and the B string, and I have my second finger on the third fret of the G string. But I'm just going to pluck the three strings, the low E, the high E, and the B string, with my thumb wrapped around to the third fret of the low E, and my first finger down on the B and the high E, third fret. So that's the first part of it. You have low E string, second fret of the low E, and then you pluck on the third fret of the low E and the high E third fret and the third fret of the B string. So I'm going to take my third and fourth finger, my pinky and my third finger, and I'm going to put the third finger on the G string 5th fret and the pinky on the 5th fret of the high E. So they're both on the 5th fret. One is on the G and one's on the high E. Then I'm going to take these two fingers on my strumming hand, and I'm going to the middle and the third finger, and I'm going to pluck those two strings. I'm plucking the 5th fret of the G and the 5th fret of the high E. And then I'm going to move those down 2 frets and do the same thing. So we got... And that's a slide there. So that's what I've got so far. And then I move this back to the 5th fret. I'm just walking back. And here I'm doing this shape again with my first finger over the third fret of the E and the B, high E and B, and my second finger on the 4th fret of the G. And I'm just going to pluck the G string and the high E string there. So once again. Okay, so that's the first part. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my C chord, which is, if you were to do a full bar chord at the 8th fret here in the E-shaped C. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap my thumb around to the 8th fret and do the same thing I did up here on the G, the G chord, which is the 3rd fret of the low E, which is a G note. 3rd fret of the high E is the G note. And then the 3rd fret of the B, 4th fret of the G. So, okay, then I move up to the C position, 8th fret, and then my second finger's on the 9th fret of the G. So I just did the same thing, just up in the C position, which is starting in the 8th fret, and then my 3rd and 4th fingers go to the 10th fret of the G and the 10th fret of the high E. And then I slide down to the 12th fret, both of them, plucking with these two fingers. So I just did the same thing. So start from the beginning. I do this again. So basically what I've done is I start off doing a bass run into my G. There's G. I go to the C. Back to the G position. I'm going to do a D. This is a partial D chord. Well, it's a D chord, but it's working off. It's kind of working off of this position at the 5th fret. If you bar across the 5th and all the way, and then you bar your 3rd finger across the G, B, or D, G, and B string. That's a D, A-shaped D chord. But I'm just going to do a partial one of those. And it's like that. And it's kind of like an L shape. What my first finger is going to go on the 5th fret of the high E. That's an A note. My pinky is going to go, my 4th finger or pinky is going to go on the 7th fret of the B. And then my 3rd finger is going to go on the 7th fret of the D. And I should have the tablature for you. If it's not up on the website, just ask me for it. I can get it for you. So we have, okay. And then we're going to want to hit the open D. And then we have the 7th fret of the G, 7th fret of the B, 5th fret of the E. So that's the chord. So starting from the beginning again. Okay, so you do that. Downstroke on the bottom 4 strings, the D, G, B, E strings. And then I'm going to just move my pinky. I'm going to keep everything else in place. The pinky's going to go to the 8th fret of the B. And then back to the 7th fret. So it goes. Wait, hang on. Okay, so it goes, it actually goes, so you do that, downstroke, and then you hit the 7th fret, just the B string, and then you hit then you move the pinky down, slide it to the 8th, hit that note, and then back to the 7th, and back to the, okay, so you do the chord, and then you're just basically doing the B string. 7, 8, 7. And you can actually then that last one, 7, 8, just do the full chord again. Like that. Okay, so here's what we got. Okay, and that's the first part of the intro. Okay, and actually, all I'm doing there, all I do is hit the 7, 8 of the B, and then I come up on the upstroke and I hit the 5th fret of the E. So the only time I hit that chord is the first time. I go 7 of the B, 8 of the B with the pinky, 5 of the E. 7, 8 of the B, Then on the upstroke, 5 of the E. Okay. So that's the first part. The second part goes. Okay, so that is, what you're doing is you're doing a partial G chord here. So you're doing take your first and second finger, put your first finger on the 7th fret of the high E, your second finger on the 8th fret of the B, and hit those together, just like that. Just strum down on those 2 strings, 8th fret of the B, 7th fret of the E. Okay, then you slide these down. You slide the first finger down to the 8th fret of, so you just 1 down on the first finger, slide it down to the 8th fret of the E, and then your second finger you want to slide to the 10th fret, 2 down from that, 10th fret of the B. So you're on 10B, 8E. And then you just slide that whole thing down 2 frets, so you're at the 12th of the B and the 10th of the E, and then back. So we got 8 of the B, 7 of the E, 10 of the B, 8 of the E, 12 of the B, 10 of the E, then go back, just walk it back. And then we're going to do the same thing but up on the 12th fret, which is it's actually a C position. If you were to, it's just the C moved up 12 frets. You could actually make a full C chord or that, but we're just taking the top 2 strings, the B and the E string. So 13th fret of the B, 12th fret of the E, and then slide up to the 15th fret of the B and the 13th fret of the E, and then the 17th fret of the B and the 15th fret of the E, and then back to the 15th fret of the B, 13th fret of the E, and back to the 13th fret of the B and 12th fret of the E. So we just did the same thing, we just up the 12th fret. So there we're starting at the 7 of the B and the 8 of the B, the 7 of the E. Then we do this again, the same thing we did before. So starting with the open D string, and then you have your 3rd fret at the 7th fret of the G, your pinky at the 7th fret of the B, your first finger at the 5th fret of the E, and then 7th fret of the B, 8th fret of the B with moving the pinky, and then 5th fret of the E. Okay, so okay, so that's the introduction. I'll play it one more time here. Goes into the verse.